This is still Election Desk on GhanaWeb TV. My name is Daniel Odro. Today my guest is the running mate for the National Democratic Congress, the NDC, Prof. Naana Opoku Agyemang. She's a former minister for education, the first vice chancellor of any university in Ghana, and today we're having a conversation with her. As you may have heard, in Mexico, only a few weeks ago, they elected their first female president, and other countries are following suit. If the NDC is lucky enough, or they work hard enough, and Ghanaians give them the mandate during this year's election, Prof. Naana Opoku Agyemang will become the first vice president, female vice president in the history of Ghana. What does she bring to the ticket of the NDC, and what are her own ideas that she thinks she can bring on board to change not only women but the entire country in terms of development? Prof, I'm sure you've heard this before. Mexico is they call it a macho nation. For the first time, they've elected a woman as their president. You are in 2020, and I remember the date so well, July 6th, and we're already in July. So 4 years ago, almost 4 years to the day, you were first appointed the running mate of the NDC. You've been given the nod again, and you could be on the verge of making history in the next 5 or 6 months. Many people have said maybe Ghana is not ready for that, and it won't be the first time that you have heard people say Ghana is not ready for a certain woman in a certain field. Have you heard this? When you hear this, how does it make you feel? And do you think that that conversation should not be happening in the first place?
Well, you see, it's a question of what has been established. Okay. Let me take education even for example. If we see only males as doctors, then it can create a wrong impression that women cannot be doctors.
Okay.
You just referred to Mexico
yeah.
And a macho nation.
Yes.
I believe they have realized that when they feminize the machoism, it will help them.
Right.
So you see, it's a matter. Even in the olden days, when the education didn't come for girls, it came for boys. That is Western style education. So it's the men who became the clerks, who became the directors, who became whatever it was. Mm-hmm. But if you look at our own traditional education, you'll notice that there was hardly any door that wasn't open to women. Okay. Right. So when people say they are not ready, maybe they haven't seen it, they are not sure what it will be. But the same people, they also know in their own private lives, whether it's their mothers, whether it's their wives, whether it's their daughters, they've seen that women are also ordinary people who can do ordinary things that ordinary people do. So it shouldn't be, nobody asks if we are ready for a man for anything. And I don't think this is a gender war or anything of that sort. Mm-hmm. And therefore, it shouldn't be a factor that either pushes you or doesn't push you. In the professions, we all go to school. Boys go, girls go. Yeah. Sometimes a girl beats a boy, sometimes a boy beats a girl. Yeah. So what will make anybody say that? Right. So when you don't see the basis as solidly as you should, then you know that, this shouldn't stop you. Okay. Yeah.
But surely you may have heard some of those comments.
Oh, listen, I've heard them. As I said, even on campus, when I was applying to become vice chancellor. Yeah. No, we are not ready for a woman.
But politics is a different terrain. They tell you that politics is a dirty game. Politics is for cantankerous people, is a mafia, and all of that. And I'm sure they look at you, and some of your critics say you are not a politician, you are an educationist.
No, but if the definition is to be mafia or dirty and so on, and I'm none of that, I'm happy.
Right.
Then I'm happy. Right. And I don't think you have to be mafia or dirty or whatever to become a politician. I don't think so. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So if that's their definition, then I'm glad I don't fall into that category.
Okay. But they say you need those attributes and traits to be able to survive the hot political terrain, especially in Ghana?
I see the campus also as a place. You see, what is politics? What is it? Let's go down to the definition.
Okay.
If it's about access to power
Yeah.
and exercising power,
Yeah.
why should that be so difficult for anybody to understand? Society is structured that way. Are we going to say that, excuse me, it's all our chiefs are thieves or that they are dirty, but they exercise power?
Yeah.
In the church, our leaders exercise power. In the political arena, our leaders exercise power. So we need to find out what is it that differentiates the exercise of power in one place as to the other.
Yeah.
And what is so wrong and what cannot be faced. You know, I think I've said it elsewhere, so at the risk of repeating myself, to say that we can make our politics as dirty as we want. We can also make it as clean and as development-oriented as it should be. So the choice is in our hands. And if we want to vilify it to the extent that there are many well-meaning people in this country, there are many people who love Ghana enough to want to contribute.
Right.
Even if for nothing, share ideas. And if you're going to use all these benchmarks to push them away, then are we ready to move forward as a country? Do we want to move forward or we don't? And who is saying it is dirty? Is that person in it or out of it? Does that person have access to power or not? How does that person use that power? You see? And in anything that comes with competition, I keep saying that democracy by itself can be difficult because it's competitive. And because it is competitive, people use all manner of things and all manner of means, rather, to make sure that they are getting ahead. So if one means is to instill fear in your opponent, they'll do it.
Yeah.
If one means is to put false accusations, so the person spends all their time saying it's not true, I will just not ignore. I will just ignore you, because
That's why you are not a politician.
No.
Okay.
I want to focus on the important things.
Okay.
And focusing on the important things is not so much about just fighting and talking, using language that you yourself will be embarrassed if it's played back to you, if it's played back to your family or played back to your children.
Okay.
Okay, and say, oh, I'm a politician, so it doesn't matter. It matters.
Okay.
And when the time comes, it will be used against you.
Okay.
And if it's not used against you in your country, to be used against you elsewhere.
Right. Right.
Okay, so I don't think being a politician is just going about using filthy language, insulting everybody. Since when? Here we are as until recently we were called a third world country. Whether we are called third world or developing or whatever, we have needs. We have fundamental needs that by now we should have. We don't have them satisfied.
Right.
Water.
Right.
Food. Shelter. The fundamentals of life. Okay, they are denied too many. And we think a solution is to call people names, is to throw mud at people. It will not solve anything.
Is that why you accepted the challenge to become the running mate first in 2020 to help solve all these problems and needs that you say we need to be finding solutions and not be engaging in war of words on radio and on television and on social media?
I'll say that every position I've applied for or I've accepted to hold has come with principles.
Okay.
The principles of joining others in leaving a better legacy. It's not that you've been perfect or no, you're a human being, but get like-minded people who also believe that yes, we can do better than we are doing.
Okay.
So that has been the fundamental principle. Accepting to come to the Ministry of Education was one such principle.
Okay.
Yes, our education is good. Our education has served us in many ways. Ghana has produced some of the best people in the country we'll be proud of in whatever profession. we've done the best we can. However, there are challenges. So you are going in looking at the strengths, making them stronger, looking at the challenges, trying to reduce them. So that's the principle.
Okay.
And it's the same principle that I accept this position. Okay. Ghana, yeah, we have all kinds of challenges now. But as the elders will say, it just bent, it's not broken. And everybody must come on board.
There are people who have given up on this country, you know.
That's unfortunate.
The young people leaving this country in their droves. And
my office is very close to some of the embassies. And every morning when I drive by and I see them, long queues,
yeah,
I feel very sad.
But you can't blame. Can you blame them?
I'm not talking about blame. But then what are you offering them?
Right.
What are you offering them in the place of queuing? I'm all for people traveling. It's good to see how other people are also leading their lives, are managing with what they have, are putting up their structures or maintaining them. It also broadens your mind.
Right.
It even teaches you more about yourself, if nothing at all. Oh, I didn't know I could put up with this, but you have.
Yeah.
So you have learned something. So I'm all for that. But as I said, I'm sad because it's not that, I just want to go and see how it's done somewhere. It's not that, I've studied medicine. I want to see how they practice it elsewhere so I can add to my store of knowledge. If it's that, I'm desperate. That's why I'm leaving. That's why I feel rather sad. Okay, I'm desperate. I'll do anything. I'll go anywhere. You don't even know what you are going to meet. And having made that decision, how do you come back?
Yeah.
And you see, so that's why I'm saying that it saddens me.
Dr. Sam Jonah says, his generation, your generation, you have failed the youth of this country. I mean, and he's not talking about politics. He's talking about the Ghana that the Nkrumahs had left was better off than the country we have now, which is where a lot of young people are leaving the country. Would you buy into that argument that the older generation have let this younger generation down?
In many ways, I'll agree with him. In other ways, I'll say let's look at the problem again. You see, Kwame Nkrumah was also of the old generation. Did he let this country down? He didn't. Maybe he was even an older generation than Sir Jonas.
Yeah.
He didn't let the country down. When he was building factories in every district,
yeah,
it wasn't for himself. He didn't let the country down. There are many people who have stood for this country from generation to generation. So it's that kind of generalization that sometimes bothers me, because it will sound like nobody ever tried, nobody ever did anything.
But on the face of the facts and the evidence.
Some did.
Okay.
Different regimes do different things.
Okay.
And I don't think we should generalize.
So segment them.
Of course.
But the aggregate will show.
It's not about the aggregate.
Okay.
You must segment them, otherwise you will not make progress.
Okay.
If you want to aggregate all of them and say it's hopeless, then let's all go. Let's all go home.
But that's why, Prof, that's why people are leaving the country. If someone says, Sam Jonah says, when I was in university, I was sleeping one in a room and I was getting stipend and I was getting food.
Because it was a certain time and place.
Okay.
At that time, what was your population?
Okay.
At that time, what were you growing the human resource to do?
Okay.
Somebody had the foresight to build such a big hall that students will feel free in it. Another person hasn't built even one. Why do you think that with a high birth rate, your place will not get crowded? So the person who had the foresight to build it so big, who had the foresight to manage the economy so well, that there was money to encourage students to learn without finances becoming a burden, we cannot say that person has failed the country. So we have examples to learn from. And those are the examples we can learn from to build a better future. There are people who sacrifice. There are people who've been good entrepreneurs. There are people who have done great things in this country that we can all learn from. If we want to bunch them all together, then we will fail plenty. As the students, we will fail plenty. But all I'm saying is, I'm not making excuses for anyone.
Right.
All I'm saying is that different regimes have done different things. And I'll speak for my own party. We came in, we saw that we have a huge birth rate, as I said.
Yeah.
And so, if you look at the data, even from the common entrance days up, you see the percentage of students that write these exams and are trying to go up. You also see the percentage of students who qualify by our own submissions, but who don't go. Why don't they go? You find the problems. You try to solve. What? We didn't build the e-blocks for the fun of it.
Okay.
We didn't expand existing secondary schools because you had nothing to do. You were responding to a problem.
Okay.
If somebody comes and is not building any, you can't just put everybody together and say nobody
we shouldn't
did
paint you
anything.
with the same brush.
No, as for that one, I disagree. Because if we do that, we'll all despair. We'll all give up. And nothing will be done.
Okay.
You know that if a patient got sick in what? Elubu, you have to drive that patient to Kolebu because it was the only place. And your roads too are bad. In what condition do you think this patient will be by the time he gets to Kolebu? So if a government comes and decides to build a teaching hospital in Cape Coast, a teaching hospital in KNUST, a teaching hospital in Tamale, a teaching hospital in Ho, all these people coming, why do they all have to come and crowd
In Accra.
in Accra? Where will they, and that hospital too is not expanding. So you cannot just put everybody there and say nobody did.
Because when we wait and look at the NDC, and yes, they have done some things, but then when you look at their negatives, and yes, as you rightly mentioned, all the good things that NDC, or if you want PNDC, NDC did, there are people who can point and say, under PNDC and NDC, when they had 19 years under Rawlings, a lot of state assets were sold off.
Let me tell you something. When you say 19 years under Rawlings, it's as if somebody sat down and said, hey, you have 19 years,
okay.
so go and use it.
Okay.
That is false.
Okay.
You know it's not true.
So how would you...
So are you going to add all the other times that other governments were also operating under coups? Let's be honest with ourselves.
Okay.
Okay?
But that's one leader, it's the same leader.
We mean the same person.
Person,
so
yes.
you are personalizing it. That is not right.
Okay.
Okay? That's not right. All I'm saying is that even in your own life, you look at the things that worked and you make them work more.
Okay.
You look at the things that didn't work, you avoid them. Or if confronted with the same opportunity, maybe you may make different choices. Or you bring the old experience to bear on the new one, so things will work out better.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
So if it's all about, oh, you did this and my pain is bigger than yours.
That's what politicians are doing now. That is the lesser of the two evils.
That is exactly what you are also encouraging through this interview. And I'm saying that we should do things differently.
So, okay, we have 32 years of democracy since under the Fourth Republic. The two political parties have had 16 years
Let
each.
me tell you something. Ghana is not 32 years old.
I mean, from the Fourth Republic?
No.
Okay.
Our history does not begin with the Fourth Republic.
Okay.
Our history does not begin with independence.
Okay.
Our history does not begin even with the struggle for independence.
Okay.
Our history does not begin with slavery,
Okay.
which lasted 400 years. We've been here for a long time, and many of these things have affected us.
Okay.
There's one thing we don't even talk about, which is the subject of identity. Who are we? What do we value?
Okay.
What should we value? Where have we been? How come in a culture where women held positions in everything from the military to the judiciary to food processing, that's science, to what didn't women do? How did we get here? That all of a sudden we are not ready for women. What went right? What went wrong?
Okay.
So it's not all about 32. You see, so the youth are having an idea that, oh, everything should be counted from the Fourth Republic.
The Fourth Republic, yes.
No, I think we should go back. And there are invaluable lessons we can pick as we move forward.
Okay.
So it's not about NDC, MPP. Supposing I belong to none, then what happens to me?
Right.
How about me? It means I don't matter.
Right.
I matter too. Every life matters.
The life of the Ghanaian youth matters as well. We'll go for a second
Very,
break.
very much so.
We'll go for a second break. We're going to return to continue our conversation with Prof. Naana
Yes.
Opoku Agyemang. Stay with us. We are back after this break. Thank you for staying with us. I hope that you are enjoying the conversation with Prof. Naana Opoku Agyemang. She's the running mate for the NDC ahead of the 2024 general elections. All things being equal, and if Ghanaians are minded to give the NDC another chance, then Prof will become the first female vice president in Ghana. Prof, so 5 months to an election, what do you think the critical conversations should be? What should we be talking about? I've heard you talk about values and our morals and what our identity and all of that. What should be the important conversations we should be having now?
You see, I think that fortunately or otherwise, no one needs to go out and tell another person that things are difficult. So I'm saying fortunately or otherwise because there used to be a time when you had to prompt people that this is how things are going and they are not going well. Whatever is working, let's keep it. What is not working, and there's plenty of them, we all know. If it's about food inflation, we all know. If it's about our currency that is not stable, we all know.
Yeah.
If it's about our roads that are not fixed, if it's about the challenges in our health system, whether it's challenges in our educational system, we know them. Let us list them. And let us dialogue. When we refuse to talk about something, simply by refusing to talk about something, that thing doesn't go away.
Are we refusing to talk about something?
Are we finding solutions to the problems in education?
Today I hear we are considering abolishing the BEC and expanding SSC to 6 years. You have been former education minister. You think there are challenges in our educational health?
No, so we are abolishing what? BEC?
Yes.
So they'll do primary school 6 years.
Yeah.
Do junior secondary school 3 years.
Yes.
And then go to S for 6 years.
Like the middle, what's it called?
So they are bringing our uncle's middle school back.
Yes.
Why are they doing that? For me, you see, I don't like commenting on something unless I really...
You want to understand it?
Yeah. I want to hear the rationale for it.
Okay.
Because if you look at all the educational reforms we've had in this country, from Gagisberg through to the recent one, which makes about 14 of them, I would say there are too many. Too many and too frequently. So we never have the time to do proper review
of the
impact so that we know, should we continue, should we do this,
Yeah.
So as it is, the children are not, they are not speaking good English. So you see, those perceptions I don't think are enough.
They're not grounded in fact.
They may be, but it's not enough.
Okay.
First of all, you need to ask yourself, where do you think Ghana should be in 10 years' time? Okay? If in 10 years' time, Ghana should be food self-sufficient, how do you draw a curriculum to ensure that you are on that trajectory? So the problems they are not simmering anymore. They've come out. Yeah. They are bubbling. So let us link minds. I don't think any one person, however endowed, will have all the solutions to our problems.
Okay. That's why you talk about dialogue.
We have to dialogue.
So this dialogue is going to be what? The parties?
Parties, non-parties, everybody.
Yeah, CSOs.
If you go to TUC, are you going to a party? No. If you go to the teacher unions, you are not going to a party. Maybe the teacher unions themselves will not be in power to implement, but you must hear them out.
Okay.
Because they are the ones managing the system. So you must talk to them.
Yeah.
Hear them out. If they say something you don't like, that's not a reason to sack somebody or to dismiss somebody.
Okay.
You don't have to like all things. But even if you take time and you reflect on it, maybe the moment you told me, I said, oh, listen, this is not something I want. Maybe 2 days later, I thought about it and I realized that, no, what he was saying made sense. You factor them in.
Okay.
Okay. So we need, this is where we are at now. Everybody must come on board. And the insults being thrown left and right will not solve the problem.
Okay.
Okay. So as I said, if it's about what? The typical example, price of kenke.
Yeah.
When people say the price of kenke is 5 cedis, it's not even as if the size of 5 cedis today is equal the size of 1 cedi. So what happens? How do parents feed their children? Okay? How do people who earn so little survive? Those who make food for sale, which ingredients will they source? How will they source them? You see, it's a chain. And so we need to sit down. We all need to, okay, so this is not working, fine. How do we make it work? You get different ideas.
Okay.
You put them together. You try some will work, some will not work.
But do we have time for try and error at this juncture?
It's not about error.
Okay.
Okay. So you pick the problems. There are some that you may be able to solve today.
Okay.
That the immediate term. There are some that will take maybe the medium term.
Yeah, right.
There are some that will take a long time, but you must start on all of them. What is a long time in relation to today?
Okay.
If you feel, oh, this problem can be solved in 25 years, so I won't try now. In 10 years' time, you still haven't done anything, so the 25 years will come and you still have the problem.
Right.
But if you start solving it today, you'll notice that, it may even come forward. The solution may even come forward because you are working on it. Okay, so we all know the problems. As you said, the young people are going away. What do we do?
Yeah, the nurses are going,
and
the doctors
a lot
are
of
going.
them are people that have been trained. They've been trained with the money you hardly have. And you are not going to make it. You train them for a purpose. The purpose is not being served. So what do you do? What is the implication of this exodus on your health system? How many nurses will be left? If already they were complaining there weren't enough, and many more people are leaving. So what do you do? How do we halt this? What alternatives do we give so people can have a choice? And they are not leaving because there's no choice. People will come up with ideas.
Okay.
You may not have all of them. If you've put children in school and from primary school to end of JHS, they cannot write their names, what has happened? Why can they not write their names? What are the issues? What do you need to do? The teachers will have something to say.
Yeah.
The parents will have something to say. The community will have something to say. The students themselves will have a lot to say. So if you want proper solution, you won't say, oh, they are young, so, they don't matter. They are the beneficiaries of all the things you are doing. So you must hear them out.
It's an MP who said the young people, they have coconut head.
Well, and making those statements too are not very helpful.
Yeah.
So you ask them, maybe the classroom is such I've been to. How many classrooms have I not been? And you go there, it's so dark in there. And I wonder, what is this doing to the children's eyes? There are no books there. How do they learn? They don't have enough teachers there. What do they do? So they've been through class 2, no teacher. And they're going to class 3 with what knowledge? It gets to a point where some just even lose interest because they don't see what the parents will say. And then someone yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah,
peers education, of course you are an educationist. So is education your top priority if you are given the nod to become vice president? Is that what will be your focus? We see this vice president has taken digitalization as his baby friend. And all of that.
That vice president came in as an economist. He didn't come in as a digital man. So you put that aside.
I said education and economy are interlinked.
My friend. Of course, education and economy.
Yes.
Digitization is not
digitization and economy.
My friend,
digitization and economy.
All I'm telling you is this. You asked me.
Yeah.
But you've heard His Excellency, former President John Mahama.
Yeah.
tell the whole world what I'll be in charge of. He talked about education, he talked about health, talked about women and children.
Yeah.
Okay, so
is that what you told him to say? Is that the conversation you had
we
with him?
talk about many things.
Okay.
He knows my strengths.
Okay.
Okay, I'm coming from the Ministry of Education.
Right.
Before then, I was coming from the University of Cape Coast.
Okay.
And in between, I've chaired the Fairway Board.
Okay. So it's a natural.
Not that natural. It's a place I have spent a lot of time.
Okay, that's fair.
And I may have a bit of experience.
That's
there.
fair. Mm-hmm. That's fair.
And if you talk about education, it's also health.
Right.
The medical schools are under us. You know that.
Okay.
A lot of the health schools are under us.
Right.
Some are not. They're under the Ministry of Health.
Right.
Public education, public health, and so on.
Yeah.
You know. So if he puts it that way, he's only playing to my strength.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
So yes, education, yes.
So education, will it be girl child education, or you want to broaden?
Listen. This girl child education has become important because if you look at the history of education in this country, from the castles through, which university did you go to?
I'm a GIJ, Ghana Institute of Journalism.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure if you look at the history of GIJ,
yeah,
I'm not sure if you have the data about how many girls, how many boys going up.
Right.
But if I send you to, let's say, the University of Cape Coast, or the University of Ghana, or Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, you'll notice that in each of these places, at UCC, for example, the smallest hall, additional hall, was a hall for the women. At that time, there was Atlantic Hall, very big. There was Ogwa Hall, very big. There was also Kesley Hayford Hall. 3 big halls for the guys.
Yeah.
Because the education didn't come for the women. So for a long time, there was no space for us. Even if you look at the graduation hood, you see there's that string with it's supposed to go into your collar. It's supposed to go into the last button. So it means that even in that design, we were not there. They didn't even think about us. Because where that education came from, they had a different perspective on women.
Yeah.
Our traditional form wasn't that way. And of course, we ran it down as non-traditional and this and this and that. Okay. And you go to Legon, Volta Hall before they are next. Yeah. It's a small place. Yeah. Africa Hall was a small place. So that tells you that you were not having the women in that number.
Yeah.
So after a while, it creates an image. Okay, it creates an image that it is something that girls didn't do.
Okay.
And even when they started introducing it for the girls, it was about household free and vocational technical and not even proper technical. You know, so it creates a certain image about how far the girls could go.
Yeah.
So it gets to a point where you have to pay special attention to the girls in order to bring them up to speed.
We've done affirmative action for a long time now.
But the bill has been in Parliament too for a very long time.
But some of the schools have been very intentional in admitting a lot more women.
Some of the schools. But
I think the last time they said Legon has more women now.
It shouldn't be some of the schools. It should be something that everybody does. Just admit the students who qualify. Okay. Sometimes you have to make, as you say, you have to make a special effort to recruit the girls.
Haven't we achieved that now?
No,
Don't we have a lot of more women?
You haven't. Otherwise, why would they say they are not ready for a woman?
Well, even America has and their democracy is older than our democracy.
My friend, let's come home.
And even the Mexicans were saying that they had one over the Americans. Even the America that touts themselves as the world's democracy has not had the opportunity to have a woman.
That doesn't mean we've had. You see, that's why it's news.
Yes.
The very fact that it is news.
Yes.
Tells
but
you
I think the affirmative action, by and large, seems to have achieved its purpose. And there are fears that even the men will now be left out.
Why? What are you afraid of?
That the men would actually be left out. That every time there's this, yes, we understand, but haven't we done it enough to the point?
Enough as in what? As in numbers?
As in numbers.
Tell me.
I agree that maybe in leadership positions there's a lot more to be done because you go to Parliament And there are
I was coming there.
Very few women in
Well,
parliament.
look at the percentage. Even recently when we had the district assembly elections,
Yes,
look.
that I agree.
Good. But these are also the powerhouses.
Right.
That is where the decisions are made.
Is it not because of the cantankerous nature of politics, like when I started?
We will make a cantankerous to make sure we don't get it. And we are telling you that those days of making the cantankerous are over.
Okay.
We are now focused on getting our society working.
Okay.
And we need everybody to come on board.
Yeah. Okay.
We need the women to come on board. We have a perspective that you guys may lack.
Yeah.
And when we bring our perspective on the table, to the table, it helps in the final decision.
Okay.
Okay. So don't be afraid.
Okay. But people say the economy is going to be one of the biggest factors next year, whoever wins the election, whichever party. And usually, the last few elections until 2020, usually there's an economist and a lawyer. That kind of combination. There's a ticket that has no lawyer, has no economist
we have the lawyers and the economists. That's where we are. My friend,
but Prof,
let's talk another language.
The economy is going to be
I'm saying that we had an economic guru, an economic whiskets. Why are we here?
Okay.
Why are we here? We don't all have to be economists, but we live the economy. I described for you what I was doing at UCC. Was I coming from the Department of Economics? I was coming from the Department of English.
Right.
So it is not next year only that is going to be tough. It's
right.
tough right now. And the one in charge is saying now he's doing digital. So yes, we have, that's what I'm saying, let's link minds.
Okay.
Don't come saying I'm the one ordained to solve all the problems. You are not.
Okay.
You know something. We are not saying you don't know anything. You know something. Others know. Link with them. Don't put yourself on this pedestal. I'm the only one who can do it. The only time we've been truly independent, we don't owe anybody, we're not paying any debts, we have enough food. It was a military man who was in charge. Was he a lawyer or an economist? So what does it take? What does it take?
Prof, what's the feeling? Are you confident that the NDC would win power next year?
Yes, I am.
You're confident?
I'm very confident.
And your conviction is coming from where? From what?
Oh, it is coming from our record.
Okay. Is it because we've not had any party do more than 8 years? So it's just
I don't think it's about 8 years or 2 years. Mahama was there for less than 4 years.
Yeah, but that's a party.
Remember that he was... No, remember that he was...
It's a party they do
Remember that he was in court for 8 months.
Okay.
What wasn't he able to do? Did anybody guarantee him? Did anybody guarantee anyone 8 years?
He was taken over from his boss. It was a continuum, isn't it?
The others, it's not continuum.
He was taken over from your former prof mate.
Yes.
So that would have been
easier. He had to be voted for. What do you mean easier? He had to be voted for.
Okay.
He spent 8 months in court. What do you think he did to his plans? And in spite of that, look at what he was able to do. Others who have also been in 8 years, what have they also done? Okay.
So you think the record of the NDC in 8 years was
Everybody must move on their record.
Okay.
What you've been able to do. As I'm saying, that's not to imply that, we're perfect and everything, went on as smoothly as we wanted. Just check the records. At what point in the time of NDC did anybody die because they were going to write their name? Or they were going to vote? That is serious. That is too serious. As for the dollar and so on, it's our business to manage that. Okay? We are told they can bring the economy back to life. We are waiting.
They say the Ukraine and Russia war.
My friend.
Isn't it a good fact? Isn't it a good example? A reason, sorry.
You must ask, what are you getting from Ukraine?
Wheat and...
Good. You are getting wheat. Let's just stop with wheat.
Yeah.
What do you use wheat for?
bread, other things.
If you didn't have bread.
And feed.
If you didn't have bread,
for
what
our
will you
poultry
eat?
and
Are you saying that there's nothing here you can eat?
so substitution.
Are you saying that if the war affected Ukraine to that extent, and it hasn't?
It hasn't.
They are fighting and we are there asking them to feed us.
They said it added on to the COVID wave, which disrupted the world economy, all the world economies.
When the financial crisis came in 2008,
Yeah.
it didn't affect those who came to power after that?
It did, didn't it?
So what is it? Why are we still not talking about that excuse?
So you don't buy that excuse?
You see, you will have crises. Some you can foresee. Some you may not be able to foresee. We were threatened by Ebola.
Yeah.
What did we do? We were told if one person died, his blood will be on Mahama. Every time they find a way to bring Mahama. How many people died during COVID? Your smile doesn't answer the question. But you
a lot of people died. But I mean, it happened in the world economy.
Wait.
Look at the number of people who died in America and
So
in
what?
Italy.
So what?
So it tells you how deadly the virus was.
And you know, I don't even want to follow that.
Prof.
But what I'm saying is that we were threatened by Ebola.
I remember.
What did we do? We had COVID. What have we done? We were threatened though. We didn't have a single case.
Yeah.
But we quickly went about finding out, assuming, what will we do? Do we have emergency centers? Do we have specialists to handle this? Do we have medications? What do we need to do? Do we have the protective clothes? Mm-hmm. We got them in readiness, just in case. That was the reason why we set up at the University of Ghana the Center for Cell Biology and Infectious Pathogens. And that is the center that is the sequencing. When we had COVID, what was the response? You bring a non-Ghanaian company to tax us at the airport. What did Ghana get? Assuming that was a Ghanaian company, assuming that tax was given to Noguchi, what research centers did they have built with all that money? That was our response to a threat. We had COVID. What was the government's response? What hospital has been? It can be anything. What I'm saying is that there may be threats you will not see.
Right.
You can be as prepared as you want. Things may happen that will make your preparation look like you didn't do anything.
Right.
But you learn from that. We had COVID. What have we learned from it? Have we had one, what do you call it? What do they call it? Center for, is it, I've forgotten, there's one in Nigeria. Have we built one as a response to COVID? To ensure we are training specialists, that we are not encouraging to run away from the country? Did we get any money from COVID? Where could we have invested this money? At least for health alone.
Yeah.
And to have served everybody well. Shouldn't we have had a similar, if not a bigger facility than the University of Ghana Medical Center? To show our preparedness. What shows we are prepared for anything now?
Yeah. Prof, before we go, are you looking over the other divide and waiting to see who they appoint as their running mates?
Oh, please. Well, they haven't appointed.
Officially
I thought they
not.
had. Oh, there's unofficial appointment.
There are rumors in the media about a particular candidate.
I don't have any.
You don't think it's important?
I don't have any. Well, it's not part of my
It's not?
thinking now. No. Whoever, it's up to the party
Okay.
to bring who they want. And whatever I think has no influence
Okay.
on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Prof, thank you very much for your time.
You are
and
welcome.
If Ghanaians are minded and give you an opportunity, you and your party, we'll come back for an interview with the first female vice president of this country.
That would be nice.
Thank you.
And thanks too. Thank you very much.
Thank you. My name is Daniel Ojo. This has been another edition of Election Desk here on GhanaWeb TV. I hope you enjoyed yourself. We'll be back another time with another interesting conversation. Stay with us until next time. Bye for now.